Alright, we tried this earlier, it didn't work. Let's give it another shot. The recording just messed up. So we're going to open it up in a new tab. And here we have November 1st. We're going to go ahead and start. We can cheat, see the clue says no cop has an innocent directly above them. So let's start. So Thor's a criminal and Nicole is a criminal. Alright. Exactly two of Gary's innocent neighbors are also neighbors of Alex. Well, the only neighbors they both share are Evie and Brian. So Evie has to be an innocent. Now Gary has 7 innocent neighbors, and he only has 8 neighbors in all altogether. So that means every one of his other neighbors, there's only one criminal in them. So we'll go ahead and make a set of cyan. All right, and there's only one criminal in all of that 7 cyan ones. 2, 3, 6, 2, yes. So Ruth and Brian have an equal number of criminal neighbors. Okay, so Ruth has at least one criminal neighbor. Only one of the cyans can be a criminal. And let's assume that maybe Gary is a criminal. Okay, so if Gary's a criminal, these are all innocent. Um, that would mean that Katie and Lucy, there would be one criminal in Jason, Katie, or Lucy. So let's see what happens if Lucy is a criminal. Then Ruth now has 2 criminals, and all of these would be innocents. So Brian would only have one criminal neighbor. So Lucy must be an innocent. Now we'll try the same thing with Katie. Again, Katie and Ruth. Ruth now has 2 criminal neighbors. Brian only has one criminal neighbor, so Katie has to be an innocent. Let's go ahead and check to see if that's true. Okay, sure enough. All right, Lucy and Martin have 2 innocent neighbors in common. Here's Martin, here's Lucy. So they have one criminal neighbor in common, and then out of these 3, 2 of them are innocent. Okay. Martin and Evie have an equal number of criminal neighbors. Okay, so Martin has one criminal neighbor, and we know because he and Lucy have only 2 innocents, Martin has 2 criminal neighbors. So there can only be one criminal in all the cyan. So that means Martin has at least has 2 criminal neighbors and 3 innocent neighbors and 2 criminal neighbors. So Martin has 2 neighbors. So Evie has to have the same number of criminal neighbors. So that means there can only be one of these 2 as a criminal, and Gary must also be a criminal. All right. And now, since we know the criminal is here in the cyan set, this Chloe must be innocent, and Hilda must be innocent. All right. Now, Chloe tells us Martin is one of the 10 innocents. Okay. And Martin is one of the 10 innocents on the edges. All right. So we know that one of these 2 is criminal and one is innocent. So there's 1 innocent, 2, 3, 4, 5 so far. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 left. Okay. And Evie says there's an equal number of criminals in row 2 and 5. Well, we know there's at least one criminal here. And we know we need 10 innocents on the side. There's 1 innocent here, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's at least one criminal down here. So 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, leaving a criminal. So these 2 must be innocents. All right. So now we know that there's 3 innocents in row 2, so there must be 3 innocents in row 5. What else do we know here? We know that exactly 3 of Paula's Paula's 5 innocent neighbors are also neighbors of Nicole. Okay, so here's Paula, here's Nicole. So of these 4, which are the only ones shared by both Nicole and Paula, 3 of them, or in other words, 2 more of these 3, must be innocents. Okay, and we know that 2 more must be innocents. So if this one is innocent, then one of these 2 must be innocent, which means that these 2 side ones would mean one of these is guilty as well. Okay, what if it's the other way around? What if we ignore this, get back in cyan? Okay, so what if these are both innocent? Then one of these would be guilty, because we know there's at least one there. So that would mean he would have to be innocent, he would have to be guilty, and he would have to be innocent. Does that work? Don't think so. Evie and Martin. Same. Okay, so Evie and Martin, let's go there instead. Evie and Martin have the same number of criminal neighbors. So Evie has 1 and a second criminal neighbor. The only one left is Ruth, so Ruth has to be criminal. All right, Ruth and Brian have an equal number of criminal neighbors. Okay, so Ruth so far has 1. Brian can have a max of 2. So Ruth can have only 1 more criminal neighbor. So out of these 4, there's only 1 criminal. There's 1 criminal here, and we know out of these 4, there's only 1 criminal. Okay, exactly 3 of Paula's 5 innocent neighbors. So Paula needs 5 innocent neighbors. 1, 2. And if all 3 of these, that Jason is guilty, so it would have to be all 3 of these. And if that's the case, Ruth and Brian, well, it could be here. How does this work out? Interesting, I'm stuck. All right, Ruth and Brian have an equal number. Brian has no more than 2. Nicole, 2 of these must be innocent. As they make that, if these 2 are innocent, then Jason is guilty. Alex is innocent, and that means Ruth would have no innocent neighbor, so that can't be right. So, because Brian has 1, Ruth has 1, and that would mean the rest of these are all innocent, that can't be right. So, if Brian has 2 criminal neighbors, then there could be a criminal in the bottom, in these 3, or in this one. Ruth could also be the criminal. Paula has 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Six neighbors. Okay. That makes that works up. Okay, so now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Zen, I think, has to be innocent. There's an odd number of innocents neighboring Nicole. Okay, so Nicole has an odd number of innocents. So she's got one here, and then we know she has two more. That's 5. Okay, if Paula were innocent, right, because these can't be, because this has to be the innocent, so one of these has to be criminal and one of these has to be innocent. So 1, 2, 3, and if Paula is also innocent, that would be even number 4, so Paula is a criminal. All right, so now I think this works out that, let's see, Paula has 5 innocent neighbors. 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5th one. Okay, and now Nicole has to have an odd number of innocents. 1, 2, and a 3rd. So it is indeed innocent Jason, and the other part of the pair is Alex is the criminal. And that means that Ruth and Brian have an equal number of criminal neighbors. So Brian has 2 criminal neighbors, Ruth has 2 criminal neighbors, makes Wanda innocent, and Vince the last criminal. Alrighty, there we go.